He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
And welcome back to an episode of Ministry of Truth. I am your only host on this show. I've got a little bit we're going to go over today. Some, news from around the world, around the country. And then we're going to go into some, daily fucking videos of, fucktards, retards, lies, conspiracies, and, well, pretty much whatever the fuck I want to talk about every day, 24/7. Just kidding. I don't know, maybe 2 hours a day at the most. Three. Hello, Juniper. Good to see you as well. So, before we get into anything, I like to start off with this song. And, well, this is an oldie, a very much oldie. I was 7 years old when it came out. And it's about, a Vietnam veteran. The song kind of makes sense, when I consider the way war has changed. But anyway, let me stop talking. Let's get to the music. Enjoy. While you're enjoying this music, make sure you go get your coffee, your bagel if you're Jewish. You can get it even if you're not Jewish. I prefer everything bagel with salmon cream cheese. Fucking does wonders. Anyway, I'm sorry, my bad. Go get your shit. I'll see you in a minute.
The cerebrum has suffered massive and irreparable damage.
You never know what has happened to him.
Had I not been sure of this, I would not have permitted him to live.
Where?
Father? I need help.
What is democracy? What is democracy?
Got something to do with young men killing each other.
When it comes my turn, will you want me to go?
For democracy, any man would give his only begotten son.
It is impossible for a decerebrated individual to experience pain, pleasure, memory, dreams, or thought of any kind. This young man will be as unfeeling, as unthinking as the dead until the day he joins them.
I don't know whether I'm alive and dreaming or dead and remembering. How can you tell what's a dream and what's real when you can't even tell when you're awake and when you're asleep? Where am I?
All right, great song.
Don't you?
When you were little?
Let's get to the good part. No lie, when I was a kid, I had this album on a cassette tape. Yeah, cassette tape. And I remember, like, I want to get to this specific part of the song, but it wasn't like a CD or. Oh, okay, like sentiment. Yeah, I was 7 too, man.
Father, I need help. I'm in terrible trouble and I need help.
Don't you remember when you were little? How you and Bill Harper would string a wire between the two houses so you could telegraph to each other? You'll remember the Morse code?
Darkness imprisoning me. All that I see, absolute horror. I cannot live, I cannot die. Trapped in myself, body my only fear.
It's Morse code. For what? SOS. Help.
Landmine has taken my sight, taken my speech, taken my hearing, taken my arms, taken my legs, taken my soul. Left me with life in hell.
What's he saying? He says, kill me. Over and over again. Kill me.
Don't you have some message for him, Padre? He's the product of your profession, not mine.
This reminds me of a video game, Castlevania, I think? Or was it Contra? Either way. It goes back. Alright, now that that's over with, let's get into our first subject of the day. I'm sorry.
And
this
if
is
we
not
need to,
our
we're going
first
to do the
subject
same
today.
thing.
It's
And
quite humorous. If you're watching, I would definitely pay attention to the video because the looks on these AI babies' faces in this humorous video, no need to get your panties in a bunch. And if you get all nimbly bimbly about seeing babies, you need to get the fuck out of here. All right. Hello, Zippity. So without further ado, I don't remember what this channel's called. But Zippity, this is your fault. All this is your fault.
Chicago, which is a disaster. We have a mayor there who's totally incompetent. He's an incompetent man. And we have an incompetent governor there. Pritzker's an
Pritzker,
incompetent.
yeah.
His family threw him out of the business, and he ran for governor. And now I understand he wants to be president. But I noticed he lost a little weight, so maybe he has a chance. You know, you never know what happens.
Pete.
But Pritzker's a gross incompetent guy, thrown out of the family business. But when I look at Chicago and I look at L.A., if we didn't go to L.A. 3 months ago, L.A. would be burning like the part that didn't burn. If he would have allowed the water to come down, which I told him about in my first term, I said, you're going to have problems. Let it come down. We actually sent in our military to have the water come down into L.A. They still didn't want it to come down after the fires. But that was it. We have it coming down. But hopefully L.A.'s watching. That mayor also. The city's burning. They lost like 25,000 homes. I went there the day after the fire. You were there. And I saw people standing in front of a burned down home. It was, their homes were incinerated. They weren't like, even the steel was
Even Cash
literally,
Patel.
it was all warped and literally disintegrated because of the winds and the flame and the whole thing. It was like a blowtorch. They were standing on this beautiful day, maybe a couple of days after. We gave it a little time because what they had suffered. Almost 25,000 homes. And you see what's happening now. They didn't give their permits. I went to a town hall meeting. I said, we're going to get you the federal permits, which are much harder. Almost immediately. Lee Zeldin is a star. He did an incredible job. They have all their federal permits. They don't have their city permits. And the mayor said to me, we think we could have them in 2 years. I was walking down the street and I met with firemen and police. And I was saying hello to many people that were standing in front of their homes with yellow tape. You can't go in. You can't go onto the lot. And those people wanted to start rebuilding their homes then and there. And the mayor said we should be able to get them the permits within 2 years. I said, that's a shame. 2 years? Are you kidding? I'm going to get them the federal permit like almost immediately. 2 years. And she drew it back. Well, maybe 1 year. The place was booing her out of the place. They don't have their permits to build their homes.
So for years we've talked to you and
All right.
warned you about.
All right, Zippity. Anytime you see those diaper, whatever, chronicle videos, whatever the fuck there is, I want you to know. I want everybody out there that's listening. That is because of Zippity, Zappity, Zippity Dippity, all nimbly bimbly. All right. So apparently there is a new. I don't know if it's new, but to me it's new. A new drug out there that's supposed to be way worse than fentanyl. And it looks like high school sports athletes are the ones taking these new and improved chemical imbalancing drugs. I don't know if it's chemical imbalancing, but let's learn about it. This is in Texas, so you Texanese, is that what you call them? Texans, not Texanese because you're not Chinese. But
The dangers of fentanyl. But now, there is another deadly opioid that is 43 times more powerful than fentanyl. But I'll tell you what, you wouldn't know it by the lack of coverage. I want you to remember this name.
What up, Roots?
Nitazines. This is a synthetic opioid, and just like fentanyl, it is being mixed into other street drugs, and even a tiny amount can be deadly. In January, 22-year-old Lucci McAllister died after taking what he thought was a Xanax. It ended up being entirely made up of a form of nitazines. Just 3 months later, Lucci's friend, 21-year-old Hunter Clement, died after taking what he thought was a Percocet, but that was also nitazines. Now the boys' mothers are speaking out with a warning that everybody needs to hear. Lucci's mother, Gray McAllister, and Hunter's mom, Ruthie Clement, join me now for their first ever TV interview. Thank you both so much for coming on. I'm so sorry for both of your losses. This is unimaginable. And thinking about how it happened makes no sense. Gray, tell us what happened to Lucci and why
This dude's
it's
hair
important
is
to get this
ridiculous.
message out to the American people.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. This is such an important message. We're losing children every day. Lucci passed on January 26th. We received the toxicology report about 8 weeks later, roughly. And when I met with the medical examiner's office, they came out and they spoke with me, and they wanted to make sure that I understood that all the usual culprits they might look for in a toxicology report were not there. Lucci consumed pure imperilladenoprotonitazine. There was no other known synthetic opioid, anything else in there. And with a background in
How'd they know to
healthcare
test for it?
education, both for doctors as well as retailers, I of course started trying to gather as much information as possible, and there was very little out there 6 months ago, and that was terrifying to me because, as the medical examiner said, we don't know how much of this stuff is in there. The only reason we caught it in Lucci's case was because there was nothing else there, right? So it's not on drug testing panels, the majority of them right now.
Hey, I don't know what we're going to look for because everything there is not there. So let's just try some random shit to test for. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Now, EMS is not very, very aware of it, as well as, your ER physicians. It requires multiple rounds of Narcan
Oh, shit.
to potentially be effective in reviving someone. And people are dying every day from this, and it's terrifying. I think of the thousands of people that we lost from fentanyl before it was ever in anyone's vernacular. We have children now. Whether it be young adults, right, from our millennials down to our Gen Z, who have grown up in this epidemic. All they know is the opioid epidemic, and it is getting more and more deadly. And we really have to work to spread this awareness. And I'm so grateful for this platform and for being with you tonight.
No, I can't thank you both for coming on to talk about this hidden danger. I mean,
Did
really,
the other one talk?
And Ruthie, I mean, your story is so tragic because the day that you found out your son Hunter had died from nitazines, you reached out to Gray. Why
Right,
did you do that?
Zippity. 135. Okay.
Because I just had this feeling that overcame me that if Gray and I met each other, that somehow we could connect and make a difference, and our children would not have died in vain. We can promote this drug that no one I know knows anything about it. Every single person that I have connected and had a conversation with has no idea what nitazene is and how dangerous it is.
Zippity goes
And
straight to
I'm
the
just so glad
refinery.
that Gray and I have connected, and we're reaching out, she especially, to other venues and things like that, so that we can get the word out that this is dangerous and that our friends, our families could be exposed to this, and they might not even know. Like, a little kid could pick up a pill and not know what it is. So many people think, yes, Hunter and Lucci ingested these, these pills on purpose, and yes, they both took a pill that they didn't think it was nitazene, but they took it and not knowing that they could potentially die. They would never
As they
admit
should,
that to their
Donovan.
families.
And Ruthie, like there is in so many cases that I cover, unfortunately, the
Like, I'm not gonna
toxicity
lie.
of
What is that shit that house used to chew? Vicodin. When I had my PRK, they gave me like maybe 2 weeks worth of Vicodin. And when you get PRK done, it's basically they scrape off the initial layer of your eyeball. They shoot a laser into it to correct your vision. And then they put, a temporary contact lens for 7 days. But the day after, it felt like my eyeballs just got a fucking tattoo. It hurt to open them. I didn't want to do shit. And I'm like, let me take a Vicodin. Took it, nothing. You know what? Let me take 3 more. And then I'm going to take one of my sleeping pills. I woke up a few hours later, my eyeballs didn't hurt for the rest of the time. Probably shouldn't have taken those. Then again, I was a fan of House.
social media and online comments, you mentioned it. You've been receiving blowback from this. I mean, can you explain what the response is that you've received?
Yes, on the first article that came out this morning, there are people that are making comments of how, we're not good parents, that these kids that take these drugs should be killed and the drug dealers should be killed. And it's just very hurtful and not, I don't mean to use this word, but it seems kind of ignorant also.
No, you can use that word. I think that's entirely fair. Listen, Gray, Ruthie, thank you both so much for coming on. I'm looking at your boys right now. They were beautiful young men.
See, I would have
I want
got.
to get the message
I
out.
had the choice between Lasix and PRK. I chose PRK because with Lasix you can't jump out of airplanes. So obviously, I took the PRK, and it was free. I went from 2200 to 2015, like. But I'm pretty sure it smelled, but they had me on diazepam before it. So he took it like 20 minutes before surgery. And then they put the fucking tetracycline in your eye. Fucking, you don't feel shit while it's happening. But it was funny when you can feel the pressure of the little scraping off your eyeball. Of course, they put one of those things in your eyeballs where you can't fucking close them. And then they tell you just look straight at the laser. Don't move your eye. I'm like, oh my God, they're going to fucking kill me. It took quite a bit of laser to fix my eye. I believe this is in Rochester, New York. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't really say what state. But it's a local news station, so I'm too lazy to look it up. And, well, if you're a woman and you know that there is a serial stalker and harasser of women running around your town, and then, that he gets arrested, and then, you know what? The courts are like, nah, he's good. He's good. Y'all need to be on the lookout.
We have a major warning from police tonight to be on the lookout for a man accused in several stalking and harassing incidents. Take a look at your screen. 29-year-old Alexander Levetsky is out of jail today. He's most recently accused of following a woman walking to work on Park Avenue and making unwanted sexual comments. 13 WAM's Carly Miner spoke with that woman's boss who explained the entire ordeal. Carly, good evening.
Good evening, Matt. The owner of the cafe tells me she and her husband knew they needed to protect their employee and stood up to the man who they say was harassing her. Police tell me this suspect has been arrested twice in less than a month for similar interactions.
Big deal. Just twice.
Rochester police want everyone, especially women, to be on the lookout for 29-year-old Alexander Levitsky from Arundecoit.
We want people to be aware to protect themselves. So if you see him, obviously take protective steps, especially females where they're walking by themselves.
Levitsky was arrested in July and again on Tuesday and released.
Generally, these would be appearance ticket type crimes. And so unfortunately, the court, based upon New York State laws, was required to release him last night as well. So it's a frustration because here's a chronic, this is 2 offenses in less than a month.
According to police, on Tuesday, Levitsky came up behind a woman while walking to her job at Cafe Sasso on Park Avenue.
Alexander Levitsky had rode up behind her on a bicycle and began making unwanted sexual comments to her comments in a sexual nature to her. And this obviously made her uncomfortable.
Jessica is the owner of the cafe. She tells me it was the employee's first day on the job.
So she comes in and she's kind of pale and she's like, this just happened to me on my way in. We're like, honey, it's okay. Like, weird things happen on Park Ave. Like just thinking it's like a guy flirting with her.
Here is the surveillance video from inside the cafe that day.
He walks in with his bags. He goes straight to the bathroom, and by this point, his face has been splashed everywhere because of the Pittsburgh. So customers and the employees were like, oh my God, it's the Canal Creeper, it's him. So I didn't need to hear anymore, neither did my husband. I'm banging on the bathroom door. You need to leave, you're not welcome here. He comes out.
That's when Jessica says he came out and began arguing with them before throwing a drink. While outside, she tells me Levitsky continued to argue with them until police arrived and took him into custody.
We're all on edge. I mean,
if there's a bunch
we're always on edge.
If there's any guys around and this little skinny punk is harassing women, why did nobody in the restaurant just fucking power slam this dude through the fucking sidewalk?
Edge anyway, as women, but when you know that it's here and you know that they know who he is and they keep letting him out, so that's an extra level of fear because for him there's no repercussion, or at least it appears so.
And the Monroe County Sheriff's Office does believe there may be additional victims. Anyone with information is asked to call 911.
What are they going to do if you actually sexually assault a woman? Let him out again? Don't get it. I don't get it. You know what else I don't get? Israel. Israel and their goal of taking over the entire Gaza Strip, which is a very, very small little area. And they want Hamas gone, so they're just going to take over the whole fucking thing. Not bombard it. Now they want it.
Now to the Middle East, where Israel's military says its chief of staff has approved what it calls the main framework for a new offensive in Gaza. This comes days after Israel announced it would launch a new military operation to fully seize control of Gaza City. And in just the past hour, a Hamas official tells the AFP news agency that Israeli forces are carrying out what they describe as aggressive incursions into the city. CBS News Middle East reporter Courtney Keeley is following these developments and joins us now from our D.C. bureau. Good morning, Courtney. So on Sunday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced this new plan. Tell us what it includes now that the main framework of it has been approved and apparently...
When's the U.S. going to stop cucking to fucking Israel and just shut them down?
Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, who's the chief of staff, had been very vocal about his opposition to any new military plan. And that set off the far right Knesset member, Itamar Ben-Gvir, saying he should be removed. So for now, he's the chief of staff. For now, the main framework has been approved. And we're seeing incursion into Gaza City on the outskirts where this main plan says it's going to all take place, where they're going to move in. And that would mean they would have 25% more occupation of Gaza.
You know, it's crazy when I show people all the atrocities that Israel's done, especially to the U.S. over the past few decades, hundreds of years. They still think Israel is fucking, worth protecting. It's crazy. It's like they don't want to see, what's right there in front of them. Because it's bred into your brains. You must love Israel. No, you don't. It's the Christian thing to do. You gotta love them all. No, you don't. Good thing I'm not a Christian.
Which really would lead to the IDF occupying all of it, according to Prime Minister Netanyahu's plans that require calling up reservists and making sure the troops are ready after this very long war continues. So that's all some of what, as Amir was worried about. But right now we're hearing that there has been an incursion and that they killed militants. That's all they're saying.
They only killed militants?
This was an area that Hamas had been decimated, apparently. But now we're hearing that Hamas militants there have been killed, and we're waiting to hear the number. But it looks like the mainframe of the operation has been approved, and that might not be related to this operation, but we have to see if they're going to say that this operation is the beginning or not.
And what risks does this operation provide, and where do we go from here as far as a ceasefire and hostage release agreement?
Right. So everybody is worried about the hostages staying alive. If there's a military incursion, that somehow they could be killed by
I don't see how the
friendly
hostages
IDF fire. The other are the mothers and the family members of reservists who have really been depleted in numbers and in terms of just constant rotations. So how much fatigue is within the military? How much can they really carry this out? And then thirdly, Qatar has been involved in talks again. Israel is looking to maybe send a delegation there later this week. We're keeping eyes on that.
All right, Courtney Keeley with the latest. Thank you, Courtney.
So at any
Oh, man. I don't know why it's so hard to see. And then again, I do know why it's so hard to see, because people would rather go with the easy, convenient truth or lie than something that makes them uncomfortable. If it's something that makes you uncomfortable, then maybe you need to hear it. And I don't mean uncomfortable like, talking about anal sex while in the middle of the doctor's office. Not that uncomfortable. Uncomfortable because you don't want anybody to look at you like, oh man, I can't think opposite of that. They're going to think I'm a racist. They're going to think I'm anti-Semitic. They're going to think I'm transphobic, homophobic. Nah, motherfucker. I just don't sugarcoat shit. There's no reason to. No reason to. Now that we're done with Israel, well, we're not done with Israel. We're just done for Israel for now. Those who don't know, that this coming Friday in the great state of Alaska, President Donald Trump has a summit meeting with, wait for it, President Vladimir Putin of Russia. And it's kind of funny that it's in Alaska, because do you guys know where we got Alaska from? Russia. Now, right now, as of now, Zelensky's not invited, which would make sense because he could fuck all this up. But today, Donald Trump is going to be having a conference with the EU, and now Zelensky is probably going to be on this phone call. So I wonder. Let's see who really wants peace here.
Moment, a critical meeting between European leaders and President Trump. They are rallying around the Ukrainian leader, President Zelensky, days before the meeting between President Trump and President Putin in Alaska. The leaders are hoping to leave a lasting impression on the president, shape President Trump's views, remind him of what's at stake ahead of Friday's meeting, and encourage him and remind him of what is at stake with Kyiv's future and fate. Zelensky not expected to be at that summit in Alaska. It is raising worries that Ukraine could be forced into an unfavorable deal. A short time ago, President Zelensky issued a blunt assessment saying this: pressure must be exerted on Russia for the sake of a fair peace. Also saying we must learn from the experience.
It's a lot easier to say let's keep sustaining a war when you're not spending a dime. Your country's not spending a dime. Everyone else in the European Union, including the United States, we're funding this war.
Of Ukraine and our partners to prevent deception on the part of Russia. CNN's Nick Payton-Walsh is live in Kyiv. Just as this is going to all start getting underway, just kind of set the stakes here, Nick.
I mean, it's the future of Ukraine ultimately, and indeed dictates a lot of European security, probably for the remainder of our lifetimes here, if indeed Russia sees weakness in the transatlantic alliance and success
Zigbee fucking
here
hillbilly
in Ukraine. Not to underplay what's at stake here. Look, President Zelensky is thought now, along with his European allies. He travelled to Berlin for this virtual conference to be alongside German Chancellor Friedrich Merz. According to the timings we have, that meeting, possibly half an hour long, could already be underway with US President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. Vance was in London over the weekend previously, essentially firefighting to some degree the confusion and unease, as one European diplomat explained it to me, stemming from US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff's handling of his meeting with the Kremlin. A European diplomat said to me it was amateurish on a matter of utmost importance, the way that Witkoff appeared to have not entirely grasped or correctly conveyed what Putin was indeed offering, or simply the fact it took days for many European allies.
Why would they bring that up when... I get it. You guys want to know what they spoke about, but you're saying they're amateurs and childish, but you have no idea what they spoke about. That's why you guys were so quick to cry and get this meeting set up, or this conference. So you want to voice your opinions? We've already seen what you want to do for the past 3-4 years. We've already seen it. Ukraine is basically being Israel. We're going to fight till we win. Except for Ukraine is not Israel. And Russia's reserve forces is more than our entire U.S. forces.
To get a solid grasp of the potential proposal. That, I'm sure, will be part of the conversation now. Europe has been very consistent on its position, which is a ceasefire first. That's something President Trump originally signed up to months ago as well. And that the current line, the current front line, is the starting point for negotiations. Zelensky himself has insisted that all conversations about Ukraine must be with Ukraine present. Europe has backed him up on that. A quick reminder, though, a moment like today, a virtual conference with President Trump and European leaders and President Zelensky setting out positions does echo what we saw back in May, when a ceasefire was demanded by Europe and Ukraine, and Trump was on the phone to his European allies saying he'd impose sanctions with them if Putin didn't go along with that suggestion. Putin didn't, and there wasn't sanctions.
Russia already has
sanctions now.
sanctions.
So there's a sense of repeat here potentially, but the stakes are remarkably high, because for the first time the bilateral between Trump and Putin in Alaska will be the first time potentially these two men could hash out some kind of deal. Ukraine will not accept it if they're not involved in its negotiation. But I think many on that call will be deeply anxious. Whatever they say, however they think they've swayed the president, his impenetrable relationship.
Trump's going to do what Trump wants to do.
Could result in any potential outcome from this Alaska meeting. Back to you.
Nick Payton-Walsh in Ukraine for us. It's great to see you, Nick. Thank you so much.
President Trump meeting virtually with European leaders and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. This, of course, coming 2 days before he has that face-to-face with Russian President Putin on U.S. soil in Alaska. This is the first time, of course, Putin is setting foot on American soil in a decade. Zelensky himself not expected to be at that meeting on Friday, and that's prompting concern Ukraine may be forced into an unfavorable deal in order to achieve peace with Russia. Joining us now, CNN political national security analyst David Sanger.
I don't know if it's
and
like
Ambassador
being
Stephen
forced into the deal, because now they're going to know what parameters that Zelensky wants, because that's what they're doing today, and they're going to see what Putin wants. They're not going to sign a fucking deal that day. That's how you make a deal.
Sestanovich, he is the former U.S. ambassador at large to the former Soviet Union. Great to have both of you here. David, I want to start first with you. This meeting is happening as we're speaking, virtually. It's also coming as we get information that Russia is making these advances in the Donetsk region, where they're now evacuating children. They're evacuating families. That's what's on the line for the people of Ukraine as they sit down, and Putin has said, I'll end this war, but only if you give me this land. Walk us through a best case scenario coming out of this virtual discussion today.
He's going to disappear being a very rich person.
Well, the best case scenario I could imagine would be that President Trump comes to an agreement with the European allies about what his red lines are, what he will not, what he would not allow the Russians to get. But the fact of the matter is that the Europeans and President Trump have been talking in very different terms about these discussions. The president keeps discussing land swaps, which suggests that the Russians may even get some territory that right now they are not occupying militarily. When you listen to the Europeans, they talk about security guarantees, about making sure that the flow of arms to Ukraine continues no matter what. And that's, of course, something that Putin wants to limit.
Oh. So they want a peace deal, but they want to keep sending weapons to Ukraine? That makes sense. That makes sense. European Union, yeah, we're going to go with what you guys want.
Quite directly. They talk about making sure that the president doesn't commit NATO to pulling back from current positions in Eastern Europe. So they're worried that, of course, Putin will use the moment to take a pause, use the ceasefire to rebuild, and then continue.
They're worried about what Putin and Trump are going to do, but how many of these other countries decided to actually meet with Putin besides Arab countries to try and talk about peace? Did anybody else come in there? Because I'm pretty sure Russia was blackballed.
And Ambassador, there's always the question with President Trump about who has spoken to him last. Has he been swayed by what they say? Do you think today's call?
So I'm saying Zelensky might pull something like the president of Afghanistan did. Just fucking take all the money and run off before they can get him.
President's thinking leading into Friday?
Well, the sign that the president listens to different people and changes his predictions as to what's going to happen in the meeting are in the two different versions that he has of what's going to happen. There's the he'll be in listening mode version, and then there's the land swaps version. One is involves active negotiating, and the other just involves seeing what's on Putin's mind, to use the president's terms. The Europeans are nervous about both of those. They don't want either land swaps or listening mode. They don't want the president to find out what's on Putin's mind. They want him to try to change it. And that means
not how you make a deal.
Using the leverage that jointly Western governments have developed for helping Ukraine and for putting Putin more on the defensive than he has been. They're worried, the Europeans are worried that that's not going to be his approach.
And David, to that point, the last time we saw Trump and Putin together, that press conference, I mean, everyone remembers that, and how the president did side with Vladimir Putin on a lot of issues. What is your thinking around how he's going into Friday's meeting? Did he learn from that moment? Is he still in a place where he could, where we could see him reacting in the same way as we did all those years ago?
Well, we don't know how much he's learned from that moment. I was at the first meeting that they ever had together, which was in Hamburg in 2017. And that was a summit meeting. And when the two of them, after the two of them met, the president called me on his cell phone to say, President Putin just said to me that the Russians could not have been involved in
You know,
the 2016 election.
if Trump really was, part of Russia, or, being bought and paid for by Russia, why are we going to continue sending money to Ukraine, even though we said we weren't? My dogs are going to fucking bark. Trump would have already said, hey, Russia, go ahead, take it. Wouldn't have been any question about it.
Because they're so good at cyber, they never would have been caught. And isn't that right? So he had basically adopted the Putin's position over the position that that he had heard from all of his intelligence agencies. He went on to do that in public later on, and many times after that. So yeah, I think he is susceptible to a Putin version of history here, that somehow the Ukrainians provoked Russia into invading the country. In fact, the president himself used those lines earlier this year.
Yeah. And Ambassador, look, as you noted, this has been described by the White House as a listening exercise, that's how they're thinking about it. And we have to remember, Putin's one of the best trained operatives in the world. He's very, very good at manipulation and psychological manipulation and strategy.
You love how the media is
How are
framing
you
this?
thinking about all of this?
Putin is pretty good at manipulating people who are willing to be manipulated. I think one of the questions that is particularly interesting, to which we don't have an answer, and David has just shown you we don't have an answer, is how worried is President Trump about seeming to be manipulated by Putin? Is he worried that he'll come out of this meeting seeming like Putin's dupe? The Europeans, I would think, in subtle ways, without seeming too heavy-handed, are trying to convey to the president in this meeting they're having right now that he's got to, exercise his role as leader of the free world, not come out of this looking like somebody who has been taken advantage of in a real estate deal. And
Okay. So all these guys are giving their opinion on what Trump should do when he's meeting with Russian Vladimir Putin. Where was the previous administration when it came to meeting with Vladimir Putin? They refused to even have a line of communication with Vladimir Putin. So, what's the deal? And now they want to give all their, well, Trump should do this, Trump should do this, Trump should do that. Dude, pretty sure he knows more about the situation than you do. Alright, so this next video, this is great. So a Mexican national, when there was an ICE raid, decided he wanted to wave a machete around when it came to the ICE agents, and then the ICE agents, they left, they departed the area, and then through facial scan recognition, like, wait a minute, we should go get that guy. Well, he tried to run.
Cross me free.
Yep, I'm fucking this fucking car right here. This fucking car's like, you know what? This is weird. Oh shit, I'm just gonna keep driving.
Let me grab now! Stop moving!
Hey, they're showing their face. Show me your face. I like this tactical roll-up. Should have stayed on your bike, bro. You should probably wear a belt if you're gonna run.
Cross the street. On the ground now! Stop moving!
A border patrol guy kind of sounded like he was Hispanic. He had that little accent on him.
7 News.
All right. So those of you who don't know, I think I went over this yesterday, that the DC Metropolitan Police now belong to the federal government. Well, they're not belonging to the federal government. They work for the federal government. And, well, it appears that some of the mainstream media is out there saying that one, I can't remember exactly what was said by Muriel Bowser. They're making it sound like Trump was doing something unprecedented. But then in the same interview or the same conference, she praised it. She welcomed it. So all these media guys that are out and these protesters are out there, keep the cops out of D.C. Keep the cops out of D.C. I don't think everybody feels that way.
Carl Willis is live near the Capitol tonight. And Carl, you spent the day in Ward 8, where neighbors say they haven't seen a change in enforcement there just yet.
Yeah, not yet, Scott, even as National Guard vehicles lined up over by the the Washington Monument, as you just showed us. But some of those who I spoke with in Southeast D.C. wonder if their neighborhood will get the same level of attention and if that's really what they need. On this corner off of Minnesota Avenue in Southeast D.C., those who live here and community leaders are talking about the Trump takeover.
I haven't seen the National Guard deploy. You don't know exactly where they are, what communities they're going into.
After speaking to Eugene Branch, National Guard vehicles were spotted near the Washington Monument. But Branch said it's his Ward 8 neighborhood that needs help fighting crime.
We haven't seen any of that over here in Southeast D.C.
There's a part of this city that, as I say before, may have a cold, but this area has pneumonia. We need to make sure that there's justice for the whole city, that there's equal attention in terms of love and justice.
800 National Guard troops ordered to D.C., but on day 2, Ward 8 A&T Andrea Davis says there has been no sign of the deployment here. But she also disagrees with the tactic.
This is not the answer, bringing the National Guard. We need more resources by way of more police officers. We need to get...
Funny story. I'm glad she said they need more police officers because one of the videos they showed, they're MPs. MPs. I mean, they're not real police. They're military police, but they're not like real police. But they know the same thing. The same laws-ish. And their job is to detain. Well, observe and report and detain.
rid of the 2-year college requirement so we can bring forth more qualified candidates like Maryland and Virginia.
If you were to see, like we mentioned, boots on the ground, would that be something that would make you feel safer?
I do want to see my people taken care of. I want to see the people that work hard every day supported. And we want to see people being helped. I don't want to see my people be harmed and used and abused.
This shouldn't be about one part of the city feeling safe. It should feel like the whole city.
When he says my people, does he mean DC residences in Ward 8? Or my people?
Wants to feel safe.
So it's a 30-day period. What do you expect to see in your community?
I just want to see change. I want to see our neighborhood clean. I want to see the schools safe for the children.
Now, even if it's not the tactic they would have chosen, the leaders I spoke with today say they just want to see parity across the district. At the Capitol, Carl Willis, 7 News.
Sounds like they don't agree with it, but hey, by God, can we get a piece of that action? We could use y'all down here. If you're going to do it, Trump, do it all the way. Huh? Although you're not running the shot, it's probably Pete or the DC commander. Either way, you got enough to take the whole city. That sounded real bad. And there are many, many reporters out there trying to frame this as Donald Trump is doing bad stuff. Crime in DC has been on the decline. What if there are media reporters out there who, well, were known to be liars? Now all of a sudden, like, fuck, man, we actually got to report this shit.
Let's go back to the fact that, you know, the people that are cheering this on privately are not like right-wing Republicans, are not MAGA people. A lot of our friends are in the media, and also Democrats that worked on Joe Biden's campaign, that worked on
MAGA
other
people
campaigns.
makes it sound so racist. Oh, you're MAGA. That's like me saying, oh, you're black.
That are saying, yeah, I'd like to feel safe walking around this city. If the federal government can be a positive partner in keeping the streets safe, while, again, forming a partnership with the D.C. police and not taking over, then at least the people I've spoken with that live in D.C. day in, day out, see this as a positive step.
Oh.
I think it's also reasonable to be concerned.
Oh.
The numbers don't lie. Washington, D.C.'s crime
those
problem has
no problem.
absolutely exploded. And it's been since the pandemic. Nearly every single category is up. Homicides, carjackings, robberies, you name it. The nation's capital, my hometown, has become increasingly unmanageable, dangerously unsafe, and in some areas, completely out of control. So now the president is finally stepping in to do something about it. The question is, how are the people reacting? We'll take a look.
It's awesome that we have extra police presence to keep everybody safe and have them coming back.
Well, I guess we're going to stop the crime. Yeah, it's necessary.
A White House official says tourist attractions and other known hotspots are the top priorities, with MPD also joining this enforcement. We saw a number of MPD cruisers patrolling 8th Street, a Secret Service officer at Logan Circle, U.S. Park Police by the National Mall,
You're
and
right,
multiple
Eddie.
MPD
You're
officers
right.
at Benning Road.
It's
one of the reasons I like
same
watching it,
tired
but, you know,
script
it's
on
whatever.
repeat. The Democrat narrative versus the reality on the ground. They want you to believe there's no crisis, that it's all some figment of Donald Trump's imagination, a right-wing conspiracy theory. But the violence hitting in D.C. is at epidemic levels. And it's not just the violence. It's the overall lawlessness. It's not just murders. It's the chaos, the disorder, the sense that no one's in charge. Trump's just announced he's deploying federal police officers to Washington, D.C. Not because there's some massive Antifa or a BLM riot.
Honestly, I am kind of surprised it wasn't already under federal protection. You'd think that, if anything, that would be the place.
And the chaos that's been choking the Capitol. And predictably, as always, that makes him the bad guy. Again, over and over, he's the bad guy. He is stepping in just like the nation's janitor, trying to clean up the mess that no one else will touch. It's the classic damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario. Do nothing and they'll blame you. Take action and they'll smear you. And of course, they're already dusting off the usual identity politics stick. The race baiting, the grievance mongering. Just because when they cannot get the win on their results, okay?
I'm going to let y'all know right now, if I ever get arrested by the cops, it's not because I'm brown. It's probably because I fucking deserved it. I'm just saying.
They always fall back on this tired playbook. Take a look at this.
We have seen over and over from the president, from his team, Stephen Miller saying it's like Baghdad in Ethiopia. They seem to hold their harshest criticism sometimes for cities that are majority black and brown. Do you see that, and what do you think that means?
I have been dealing kind of with this issue for a number of years. It's kind of easy fodder on the campaign trail, but now we're talking about government.
Yo, look who's making it about race. Look who's making about race. All these people live in an area where they're affluent.
And my job is to focus on making sure our city is running well, and people enjoy a great quality of life.
It is the same tired rhetoric from the left's echo chamber. Donald Trump's a terrible fascist. But the truth? This has nothing to do with race and everything to do with cracking down on criminal behavior and restoring public safety in a city that has absolutely spiraled into outright lawlessness. I've been talking about this forever. Like, people in D.C. have been talking about it forever. Armed robberies and carjackings, well, they're through the roof. Yet Democrats are once again trying to twist President Trump's common sense crime crackdown into the latest Trump scandal. But predictably, okay, as always, it's backfired.
All their excuses to cover up for Epstein.
Case in point, just a couple nights ago, a mob of more than
Just to cover up for the Epstein thing not being released. Why is nobody mentioning that the judge on Monday that failed to release the testimony that put Ghislaine Maxwell away, which has names, he said no. And the judge that said no was an Obama-appointed judge. Obama-appointed judge. You'd think if it was an Obama-appointed judge, they'd be like, you know what? You're right. We're releasing this. Everybody knows Trump's in it. Everybody does. I just don't think it's the way people think.
100 youths tore through the streets of D.C. on dirt bikes. And no, this wasn't some harmless weekend joyride. It was pure chaos. Hoodlums recklessly weaving through traffic, reportedly firing guns. Yes, firing guns and setting off fireworks as they went. And the reason they can get away with it? Because Democrats have created a culture of impunity, coddling criminals.
In places like D.C. where not a lot of people carry, it's a really dumb idea to do it somewhere like the South. Because if it looks like a firework flying towards somebody, somebody's shooting back, and I guarantee you they're not using fireworks.
Law-abiding citizens.
It's a D.C., I believe, Monday. Today's Wednesday? Yeah, Monday.
They arrested someone. He's in the car behind me. Very quick response here by transit, metro, and some federal assets. So we're down here in Navy Yard, Washington, D.C. Close to 100 people were gathered here, and we heard shots fired. I believe it was more than one. It's hard to hear in the moment. We followed police. They arrested a suspect at this place, and they recovered a firearm as well. We have seen an unbelievable amount of assets being thrown at this. You have Metro, Transit, Capitol Police, and multiple federal officials. I've seen FBI, I've seen HSI, I've seen other kinds of park police in the area. They are throwing a massive amount for this specific incident here. It's very obvious that the city has taken a slightly different posture going forward.
Crime.
Now, Tannerite, oh yeah, that's fun.
Times a year when I do onboard briefings for my interns,
I don't shoot it
explain to them that it's a dangerous city and they
I'll
need
normally
to be
put it
aware of their
in the middle of a field, and then I shoot it.
surroundings, then probably travel with other people as well. So President Trump is right that we have to get crime under control. Washington, D.C. is not like any other city in the country. It is the federal city. It is our nation's capital. That's why our founding fathers gave the federal government exclusive control over this city. And President Trump, I think, is rightly going to use the National Guard, the FBI, the DEA, the Park Police, and other federal law enforcement to augment the D.C. police to get crime under control so it's once again safe for thousands of Arkansans and millions of Americans to come visit our nation's capital every year.
You know, a few months ago, I was in Union Station and saw a body hit the floor at the bottom of the escalator in Union Station because there was a murder right in front of me. Up on the second floor, I was going to get a tie, and I heard the shots and saw the body hit the floor. So I've been listening all day long to people trying to make some argument that Washington, D.C. is a safe place.
All right. So if we're talking about cultural appropriation, right? You guys see that new Levi's commercial on TV with Beyonce? I don't know if they should be playing that, because you know what? Beyonce might have good genes. But we're talking about cultural appropriation. Let me know of any black woman whose hair is like that, and not only like that, but blonde. You can't.
It's not a safe place. And we can argue about statistics and numbers. There's a police commander right now on suspension because there's some allegation that the statistics have been altered. But we can argue about that all day long. Nobody in their right mind who lives there or visits there on a regular basis would tell you that Washington, D.C. is safe, and everybody who goes there knows it, and everybody who goes there knows it. So is there really going to be a resistance?
Dude, Abby Phillips is a waste of
any kind of people
or a
on
waste
the
of
street
air.
just looking at that? The kid that worked at the White House, when he got jumped by the 10 kids in the street gang, it was only because 2 cops saw it.
No one seems to remember when the fucking Secret Service guy got carjacked or attempted carjack and shots fired.
And we still need the public support. So coming out in such an aggressive manner could actually backfire on us.
That's an interesting point.
I will just point out that the head of the D.C. Police Union, here's a direct quote, "We completely agree with the president that crime in the District of Columbia is out of control and something needs to be done with it." So it sounds like to me, among the rank and file, the president has some support from the cops for doing this today in Washington.
No, we do need the support.
I think what happens to D.C. police on a rolling basis, I think what happens to cops.
In case y'all think I made it up.
In this, D.C. police are investigating an attempted car break-in involving a Secret Service agent who was watching over President Biden's granddaughter. So officials in this case say 3 people broke the window of an unoccupied government vehicle in Georgetown last night. Well, officers say a Secret Service agent watching Naomi Biden saw it happen and ended up firing their weapon. We're told no one was hit by the gunfire, but police say the individuals did get away in a red vehicle. If you have any information on this incident, definitely police want to hear from you.
That was last year. That was definitely last year. So, tell me again how DC is safe. Nothing ever happens. That was Biden's granddaughter's Secret Service detail.
On the most violent cities in America on a rolling basis is a disgrace as well. I think what the president is responding to today is, what can I do today? D.C. is the only city I really have control of, so I'm going to try to give them some support. He's getting a note of confidence from the D.C. Police Union. I suspect if they did things in other cities, other police unions in those cities would also offer some support. And so what I would simply say is that all you can do is hit the next shot. And the next shot right now, I think for a lot of Americans is, what can be done today to reduce violent crime and to make me feel safer in my neighborhood? I think he's going to get a lot of political support for the idea that the federal government's getting a little more muscular when it comes to cracking down on violent criminals.
This is where the worst of the worst gangsters in El Salvador are incarcerated with no hope of ever being released. Some of them are serving sentences of up to 800 or 900 years for the most horrific crimes imaginable. This is where Donald Trump plans to send the worst gangsters in some of America's prisons to spend the rest of their days.
There is no mattresses inside the cells.
In the past, the gang members would be kept separate, and they would be able to plan crimes in their cells. But in this prison, a new system's in operation where gangs such as MS-13 and Barrett 18 have been all put together in the same cell, so they can no longer plan crimes. They have to mix in and live together. This is the only exercise that the prisoners get. For half an hour, they're allowed out of their cells to do this regimented calisthenics with an instructor. It must be probably the most miserable aerobics class I've ever seen in my life. I'm feeling hundreds of eyes going into the back of me, just dead black eyes. Lord knows what they're thinking, and what they think all day. Yes, humanity has to decide what the price is and whether it's worth paying to put hundreds of people into a cage forever so that millions of people can live peacefully. It's quite a dilemma.
A British journalist recently asked whether it's worth putting hundreds of people in cages so that millions can live peacefully. They call it a dilemma. A dilemma? Well, not even
For
close. A
college
dilemma means
drinking, you
you're
only
stuck
need
between
30
two
minutes
equally
a
bad
day.
options. This isn't that. This is an easy decision. Yes, lock them up. Go full RICA. Take down the gangs. Get the super predators off the streets. Throw repeat offenders in prison and keep them there, right? This is not complicated. Nothing is complicated about it. If someone has proven they cannot live in a civilized society, well, then they got to go. Period. It's the only way to protect innocence, okay? Restore order and to do right by the taxpayers. The productive, law-abiding citizens who actually fund the country deserve to be prioritized. And that's exactly what President Trump is doing in D.C. And you can actually feel it. People are starting to get it. They're not feeding into the left's manufactured fake outrage anymore. The fascism smear, well, it's finally losing steam. Voters are looking at the crime, looking at the chaos, and thinking one word: finally.
I'm so glad we started with that Scott Jennings. Now we get to see a little more of Scott Jennings. I believe this is all Scott Jennings. Oh no, this is Crowder.
Scott Jennings at CNN just unloads like on everybody, like just quits.
Yeah.
In the most
when he has this falling down
profanity-laced time.
I kind of had it the same way. However, I wasn't really locked down to one cell. I was, locked down to a fob. I get it. I get it. Not the same.
Tirade that you've ever seen. I mean, he probably won't happen. He seems like a gentleman. But you know what? I will say the guy is fighting the good fight, and you can tell that he's just sort of tired of playing nice at CNN. He's just going to let his freak flag fly. So this Friday, obviously we talked about it, and I messed it up. You admonished me rightfully so.
We did,
I
yes.
thought it was today. This Friday, President Trump is going to meet with Putin in Alaska. And, of course, the media is already trying to set up the narrative before it takes place.
Like I said,
I think Trump has made some mistakes already. Number one,
why do people still listen to John Bolton? This motherfucker should be in jail.
holding this meeting on American soil, legitimizing a pariah leader of a rogue state.
I don't see any national security professional, apolitical professional, who thinks this is going to turn out well on Friday in
I see a
Alaska.
professional
there
wrester
really
in the
is great
feeder
concern.
league.
He's going to jam Trump.
Semi-pro.
100% he's going to jam Trump.
I
And that
honestly think
becomes
this
much,
would be a
much
very productive meeting. Because if any world leader has been able to get his ear, it's... How do I say this? I think I rephrased that wrong. If anybody could get Putin to listen, it's Donald Trump. People might say Kim Jong-un. There's rumors out there that North Korean prisoners in Russia are treated worse.
easier when you don't have a plan yourself.
Now, make no mistake, that was the president of the United States capitulating to Russia.
Jen Psaki lied for Biden for 2 years. Remember that.
In advance of a meeting with Putin. So today was kind of a big win for Russia.
Well, we're going to have a meeting with Vladimir Putin, and at the end of that meeting, probably in the first 2 minutes, I'll know exactly whether or not a deal can be made. How will you know that? Because that's what I do. I make deals.
He's like, do I have to tell you at this point? I mean, it's so much more fun having him as president again.
Yeah.
I wondered if it would be as fun the second go around. It's funner.
More fun.
Putin, anyone else, like Putin is looking, he's looking more like an old lady. Putin is looking more and more like his own open casket funeral.
You want to go invade Ukraine? His face hurts. And where's his vodka? He can't see without his vodka.
Who gets the $5?
Who gets the $5? I said $5 to anyone who can make it work with a My Girl meme, which is really only us. We're the only ones who do it.
It's Devin.
Yeah.
Way to go,
Oh, Devin? All right, $5 for Devin.
My Girl. Let me not to get this wrong. When it came out, it was a great fucking movie. I felt really, really bad for Venga. But I won't watch it again. I'm older now. Not watching that. Great movie. Never watching it.
We'll take it out of Gerald's pay.
Good.
Excellent.
He really does look rough, though. He looks like an old lady at an open casket funeral. And this is what they want you to believe. Of course, he's capitulating. Remember, Donald Trump said that he would sit down, he would talk with everyone. He was pretty rough on Putin in the last few weeks on Truth.
Yes.
This is always what he does, is he dangles the carrot, he compliments someone, and then if they don't work with him, if they don't negotiate with him, then he tells you that they're incompetent and they're terrible and he never liked them. Now, I get how you could say that's inconsistent, but if anything, it's consistent with his negotiation approach. So all of this, the setting up of the narrative, this is already Donald Trump, Russia, right? And they want this to happen under the umbrella, right? The backdrop of, right? Remember Russian collusion, which was also a lie? That's the narrative that led to this exchange with Scott Jennings just taking Tara Setmeyer to task on President Trump's record.
The president has solved like 7 conflicts this year. I'm willing to give him some latitude to talk to Vladimir Putin and break the
She looks like
deadlock.
Marilyn.
Between that and Where the Red Fern Grows, bro, those movies ruined me as a kid. Great movies, great book, but fuck, man.
Rolls toward a place where the killing comes to an end, because I think that's what we should all be praying for.
The original one, not the Dave Matthews version.
He actually hasn't solved 7 conflicts. There's been a lot of talk about that.
Shut up! I'm sorry, what? This is why I played this. Listen to this fucking dumb bitch.
He actually hasn't solved 7 conflicts. There's been a lot of talk about that.
Shut up, live in. He's literally got these guys in the White House where they're signing documents.
That's your natural haircut color.
Acknowledge the man is solving peace.
India questioned about whether that was an actual
it happens on almost a weekly basis. Just acknowledge it. Just acknowledge it.
And I will also acknowledge that Donald Trump
we reported on this network.
seems
I
to
don't
have
think I've ever actually seen the whole Fox and the Hound.
An affinity for Vladimir Putin in a way. No, you're not going to get away with calling me a liar. I know that's like the line you like to throw out.
You are a liar.
Lying.
You're lying.
Nobody's lying about anything.
Sure
You
you are.
can ask the countries who were involved in this whether those conflicts were actually.
Ugh, Havi Phillips is so done.
I know every time. Well, no, but every time she interrupts, it's basically like, Scott, you're making too good of a point. Please stop so they can continue lying.
I'm not going to let you get away with calling me a liar after I interrupted you in appropriated white culture. So here's, let me just give you, and references always available. Here's the reality check. I found 6, just to be clear. So there might be a 7th. Maybe you can let me know what I've missed, but let me walk you through it. First one, Armenia, and this is always hard. How do you
Azerbaijan.
Armenia and Azerbaijan, but just to be clear, brokered a peace deal. It was a nearly 4 decade long ethnic conflict. That's one.
For more than 35 years, Armenia and Azerbaijan have fought a bitter conflict that resulted in tremendous suffering for both nations. They suffered gravely for so many years.
That was last week.
Many tried to find a resolution, including the European Union. The Russians worked very hard on it. Never happened. Sleepy Joe Biden tried, but you know what happened there. He tried for probably
Even that guy's laughing on the left.
Didn't work out.
Is that the guy from Azerbaijan or from Armenia?
I don't know.
I couldn't see. I'm looking at a small monitor.
That'd
but
be
he
great
is
if he's
laughing.
like, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
He fell asleep during the summit.
Yeah. By the way, that was a dig at Putin, just so you know, while you talk about him butting up with him. So that's 1. 2, in July, Cambodia and Thailand. Yeah, that's a big one. There was a ceasefire that President Trump helped secure. There's a border dispute. And actually, Cambodia nominated Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. Let's go to number 3. In June, Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. That movie also sucked. There was a peace deal signed to remove the Rwandan troops from Congo and increased U.S. investment in Congolese mining sectors there. Another one in June. You may have forgotten this. This is Israel and Iran, right? Is this number 4?
Did we impeach Trump for this, or is it World War III still?
Right, yeah, I know. That was one thing.
Yeah,
those in the right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, something about like he's John Bolton, who can't stand him. Iran, you remember what happened with the Iranian nuclear facility, and that's what helped broker a ceasefire. Then in May, this is 5, Kosovo and Serbia. Kosovo, their president, thanked President Trump for preventing escalation. Also in May, India and Pakistan helped broker a ceasefire there. Pakistan nominated Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. So when she says, you're not going to get away with calling me a liar, he's done nothing. This guy says 7. You say nothing. I can verify 6. Who's closer to lying?
Yeah.
Comment. 6. That's just 6. Hey, isn't that pretty? Also, when you combine that with the Abraham Accords in his first term, like, Can't you just acknowledge this guy has been? I will tell you, I thought it was going to be his blind spot was international policy. We were like, he doesn't have. Turns out you don't need that much experience. You just need to be able to talk with people and understand their motivations. Anyone want to argue he's less effective than Joe Biden or Barack Obama in brokering peace deals? It's not even close.
Well, and she didn't really even have any points
And
to
Obama got
come at him
Nobel
with. She just
Peace
said,
Prize.
"Oh, he seems to have an affinity for Vladimir Putin."
Right.
That's the same talking point they've been using since his first time around. Like, I don't understand why you can acknowledge, even when Joe Biden, if he did something good, be like, okay, that's good for America. It's good that these countries aren't fighting each other anymore, and people aren't dying in them anymore. Okay, why can't you just say, you know what, that's one for you. I get it. But he still loves Putin. Fine. I know you're an idiot still, but you can at least acknowledge it first.
Yeah. Also, when we're talking about Ukraine, we're talking about Russia. Hey, getting those in NATO, right, Europe and NATO, getting them to buy weapons from us as opposed to a blank check and getting them to pay their fair share, you could argue that's a significant step forward and upping 2 to 5%. You know what this tells you? It tells you that a lot of people never even tried. That's what it tells you.
Yeah.
I mean, brokering between India and Pakistan? Think about that for a second. I mean,
all these deals, or these not deals, I guess deals, that he's brokered for peace. And, you know, he's done a lot of good things. A lot of bad things. I don't agree with raising the debt. I don't agree with his handling of the Epstein client list, which at this point we know doesn't exist. Probably never has. That's why that testimony is very important. But that's where a lot of people just see Trump right there. They see that. Trust me. Actually, let me guys show you something. This came up in my time hop. I'm going to let this play while I find it.
Media has been people have been trying to wipe them off the they'll give Israel a run for their money.
Yeah,
the Armenians, they have faced a lot of adversity. To be able to step in there, it just tells you that other people either haven't tried, don't care, and it's kabuki theater, right? It's oh yeah, we're gonna make this seem as though we're doing something. But when people talk about the war machine and those having a vested interest, look, I'm not saying that anyone is beyond criticism. You have more proof that Donald Trump wants to avoid war and stop war than you could make the case any president ever. Certainly modern American history. Anyone disagree with that? Comment. I would make the case that he hates war and avoids war more than any president.
He's always said that.
Probably ever that I can think of. Mm-hmm. And my mind could be changed. Now, of course, some senators are speaking out still against President Trump's meeting with Putin in Alaska. And here to tell us why this is bad for America, longtime foe of the program, Hawaii Senator Mazie Hirono.
Corona. So look. If you look at it, it says 5 years ago. What does that say? What does that say? Yeah. So when I said I was anti-Trump and you don't believe me, go ahead. But you can't deny there's a lot of good shit he's done for this country. You also can't deny there's bad shit he's done. But people focus, with all of it's like they have one track mind. They only focus on one thing. They get tunnel vision. I mean, I'd still like to know why he's so up against having these files released, but at the same time, I don't think he says he wants it released. But if you think about it, it's not him that's holding it back. It's Pam Bondi and federal judges. That's weird. Anyway, let's talk back to Hiroshima.
Senator Hirono, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Stephen. As a guest on this show, it is my responsibility to ask the following question.
No.
Have you ever had or attempted to have sexual relations with a woman with or without consent?
Just like every single time, That's a no, Senator. Now, I understand that you have put together a coalition of senators who are protesting President Trump's.
That doesn't mean I voted for Joe Biden. When I was looking for that specific one, I had Joe Jorgensen memes. So if that tells you anything.
Meeting with Putin in Alaska. Do I have that right?
Have you ever been to Alaska, Stephen?
I can't say that I have, no.
Would you like to go with me? And I can be your guide.
I don't know, Senator. I'm pretty busy.
I can build us an igloo and show you how the Eskimos keep warm.
No, I don't think that's appropriate or necessary.
You can bring Gerald and you could become Eskimo brothers.
I don't even know what that means. I don't know why you're laughing.
I'm not hearing an answer to your question.
Okay, firm no.
I can make you firm.
Senator, please. You're supposed to talk about Vladimir Putin.
You'll be putting yourself inside of me under the areola borealis.
Oh my God. I don't know exactly what that means, but it sounds deeply perverse.
We can roleplay, Steve.
No, we can't.
Yeah, you can be the polar bear, and I'll be the slippery seal, because you can eat me all night.
This is getting to the point of being disgusting. That's enough. We're not getting any. Toolman, cut it.
Steven, I'm home.
No, cut. I don't know why we keep having her on.
It's not like Spike was any better. Alright, so this is Benny, and they're talking about Adam Schiff, and apparently Schiff may not have only been doing that mortgage fraud and being, shifty Schiff. They might have evidence on him releasing classified documents. Isn't that close to treason? Hey, Carmen.
I give you the werewolf!
Adam Schiff today decided to go on a historic run of L's. Adam Schiff is one of the dumbest, most insufferable, most dishonest creatures I've ever seen in Washington, D.C. And again, I've lived here for 15 years, and I've seen the worst of it. If something leaves Adam Schiff's mouth, it is highly likely that not only is it not true, but the opposite, in fact, is true. Adam Schiff spent the better part of the last 7 years calling President Trump a traitor to this nation, who was dangerous to our national security. Yet here, breaking this morning, I can show you on screen that, in fact, the danger to our national security and the traitor, and someone who is a true criminal by every weight and measure, is in fact Adam Schiff. Democrat whistleblower told FBI that Adam Schiff okayed leaking classified information to hurt President Trump. Oh my. So Adam Schiff is, of course, on the heels of a mortgage fraud investigation that is happening right now. And now we learn that the FBI, for some reason, and I'm not sure what that reason is, has sat on whistleblower evidence from one of Adam Schiff's own staffers, saying that Adam Schiff intended on leaking classified information.
Wait a minute. The FBI had a file on him for leaking documents? Wait a minute.
In order to undermine Trump in a criminal conspiracy. Let's read the top line here. Career intelligence officer who worked for Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee for more than a decade repeatedly warned the FBI, beginning in 2017, that then Adam Schiff approved leaking classified information to smear Donald Trump in a now debunked Russia Gate conspiracy. According to bombshell FBI memos, Director Kash Patel turned over to Congress the FBI 302 interview reports obtained by Just the News, state that the intelligence staffer, a Democrat by party affiliation, who described himself as a friend of both Schiff and California Senator, former Republican House Intel Chairman Devin Nunes, considered the classified leaking to be unethical, illegal, and treasonous, but was not to worry about it because Schiff believed that he would be spared prosecution under the Constitution's speech and debate clause. No publicly disclosed opinion from the Attorney General or Solicitor General has ever been found making that determination as a matter of law. But officials told Just the News that the DOJ officials showed little interest in pursuing Adam Schiff, and the whistleblower confirmation that Adam Schiff is taking classified information and then leaking it to the media when the allegations were brought to them, citing a very same excuse that the lawmaker had offered. This is very, very bad. Let's go ahead and read the whistleblower report here. When working in this capacity, a redacted staffer's name, the staffer, was called to an all-staff meeting held by Adam Schiff, the interview report said. In this meeting,
the report
Schiff
has the
stated that the
name in
group
it.
would leak classified information.
So it's not
which
an
was
anonymous source. Anonymous sources tell me this unidentified leaker. Oh, the report has the leaker's name. Interesting.
Derogatory about President Trump. Schiff stated that the information would be used to indict President Trump. The whistleblower was told that the whistleblower told investigators that he stated this would be illegal, and upon hearing his concerns, unnamed members of the meeting reassured that they would not be caught leaking classified information. The staffer made similar claims to agents in the FBI Washington field office, but was flatly ignored. The FBI reports are available to read on their website now. This seems really bad. Ladies and gentlemen, we have someone who's perfect lined up to chat about this. Our dear friend, Brett Tolman, former federal prosecutor, to chat about, well, are you allowed to leak classified information? This is somebody who's probably handled a considerable amount of classified information, joining us live now. Brett, how are you this morning? Good morning.
Well, Benny. Good morning.
We're live from the White House today, which is awesome. Using the...
it's very fitting. It fits well on you.
Started from the bottom, and now we're in Joe Biden's fake White House in the Fisher-Price Resolute desk. So working our way up. Brett, this is a very interesting disclosure from a whistleblower, and there's been a lot of reporting now from the Federalist and some of our other friends online, great sleuths, to really validate everything that this whistleblower is saying. Names, dates, times, connections, reporters, the leaks, the information. It seems dead to rights that this whistleblower has been verified as an accurate and knowledgeable whistleblower who's really telling the truth about real crimes that Adam Schiff engaged in. Maybe you could talk us through what is the crime? What would happen to a regular person if they were to leak classified information?
Yeah, Benny, just for the listeners at the onset, let's just clear one thing up. The speech and debate clause is not a defense to criminally leaking and violating our classified document laws. And it's stressed, actually, when you go into Congress as a new member of Congress, you are told that it is criminal if you are to leak anything, and you have to review such material,
which is common sense,
only in an authorized SCIF. And that is a room that has been swept for bugs, and you have to check your phones and all electronics whenever you go into the SCIF in order to review classified documents. So there's no defense for a member of Congress that would save him. And as to what crime, I just finished a case in which I defended an individual who was prosecuted vigorously by the U.S. Attorney's Office for taking classified information from his work to his home. Now, Benny, the classified information was a formula that he came up with in his own head. He's a nuclear scientist, and he came up with the formula, and he didn't want to have to redo it. So he took the formula from the government that he had created.
And
they prosecuted him. It's a felony. And he faced up to 10 years in federal prison. I mean, they treat this very seriously
So
for
he traced
everyone
that
else, but for
juice.
the
What did he actually
FBI to
get?
walk away from this, when I've seen case after case after case of individuals that they have come down on very hard, it's outrageous, and it's offensive to anybody that's worked these kinds of cases.
So yes, I mean, there are very stiff penalties for this. Obviously, I think everybody would agree with this. Every American would say, yeah, absolutely, you shouldn't leak classified information. We don't want that to be something that you can do or get away with, or if there's a temptation to do that and get paid for it.
Funny, they leak information, no big deal. If you break OPSEC in the military, which is essentially like leaking information because stupid soldiers are like, oh, I'm deploying on this day at this time out of this place. Yeah, that's operational security. You get in a lot of trouble for that.
Then the penalties should be very severe. So can you talk me through, like, what would the penalties look like for an average individual leaking classified information?
Yeah, I mean, the fine is up to $250,000 for every leak that's charged. So it depends on the counts in the indictment. Also, keep in mind, some of the punishment hinges on the purpose that the classified leak or the possession of classified documentation illegally. So the purpose becomes very important. If you'll recall, Comey, when he said no prosecutor would prosecute Hillary Clinton for having classified information, I mean, it was just an outright lie. But there was always this question, this debate. What was the purpose of it? Was it just sloppiness? Same with Joe Biden. Was it sloppiness that he had all of these, that he used the classified documents to write his memoirs? Was there anything truly nefarious about it? And there was some analysis of Donald Trump. But with President Trump, it was just, you had him, we're going to go after you because that's how we're going to apply the law. But in reality, you have to look at the purpose to see whether or not there are aggravating factors. Here, I believe this was, in essence, the beginning of a conspiracy to take down a president, to impact his ability to lead. There are other statutes, conspiracy statutes, interference with, official proceedings, et cetera. There's question. A lot of people have question about treason. Is it treason? You probably don't satisfy the elements for treason, but there are some related crimes that could come into play.
Espionage.
And if you found that the individual was doing it in an effort to undermine the United States, you're looking at potential penalties of up to 20 years in federal prison.
Wow. I mean, those are severe penalties, and I believe that those should be enforced. I think everybody who loves this country would say, yeah, absolutely, like throw the book at people who do this. So this FBI 302, could you explain like how this process is working? Again, there has been a considerable amount of validation of this whistleblower. This isn't some crackpot. This isn't some degenerate. This isn't somebody making things up. They've gone through the names, the reporters, the outlets, the sources, the timeline. It's all locked into place, and it's going viral across my timeline as this seems like an incredibly valid whistleblower. What should happen to Adam Schiff if this is to be investigated and proved?
Well, it is valid. It's, the fact that this is a Democrat staffer,
It's one of those things where if allegations like this come up, you need to be suspended until investigation is complete.
This is unusual, Benny. I've seen some things that are unusual in Congress, but to have they felt compelled enough that the conduct was outrageous enough, that the demand to leak this information was so bad that they were willing to risk their own party being furious or upset and go to the FBI. Now, what would typically happen is a red file would have been opened. A red file is a file that typically involves classified documents or the leaking of classified documents. It's very sensitive. Only certain people can review what the allegations are. That would be open at the top levels of the FBI and DOJ. So you would have from the DAG's office, the AG's office, and the director of the FBI, all of them would be aware of the allegations. So this is not just some bureaucrat that would have buried this and made a decision themselves. At the highest level, they determined not to do something about it. Because once an allegation comes in on a member of Congress, it immediately triggers certain protocols in the Department of Justice. I was ironically, given a referral for a member of Congress who allegedly committed mortgage fraud.
We know
In a
that.
manner somewhat similar to to the allegations we've heard.
Hey, you're going to have to narrow that down. You're going to have to narrow that down these days.
Yeah.
I can't even guess anymore.
No, I know. You've got Letitia James. You've got Congressman Schiff. You've got the willingness to do what others have been prosecuted for criminally. They do in the name of the ends justified, the means in this case. And so when a member of Congress, an allegation comes in, it triggers protocols at the highest levels of the Department of Justice. The U.S. attorney in Washington, D.C. would have handled the prosecution, the investigation, the grand jury, and the prosecution of such a case.
So nothing would have happened anyway.
But they would have been assisted by the Deputy Attorney General's office in pursuing the case. There's no reason, no legitimate reason to have ignored such a bombshell that comes from one of their own staffers saying, I've seen enough, this is wrong, and it's against the interests of the United States.
Also, given the preponderance of demonstrable evidence of Adam Schiff going on national TV and talking about classified information, it's not like he was trying to hide his cards here. Brad, if you go back and you watch the old news hits that he was doing, he was clearly laundering information, wink, wink, nod, nod, to this. It wouldn't be hard to actually pin this down and to see where this is coming from. Adam Schiff was doing it on live TV, live on MSNBC, in the green room where he has his own pitch tent during the time period in order to shovel the Russiagate hoax at people. I recall, for instance, Adam Schiff saying, I have seen the evidence that Donald Trump colluded with Vladimir Putin to steal the election.
Yeah, he wrote it.
Line specifically. Still waiting for that, Brett. But where, like, it was pretty obvious. He was belligerent about it, actually. If you were a prosecutor and you were looking into this.
Well, the brazenness comes from a couple of factors. One, he was a former AUSA, a former federal prosecutor. And he became a member of Congress, and he saw and watched Comey leak information to the press when it was convenient. I'm sure he was in the loop when others had done it. And then members of Congress have been given, they've been given a pass, whether it's insider trading or any of the other things that the regular public wouldn't be given a pass on. They were given a pass. So I see that brazenness having grown. And then Donald Trump comes in, and it triggers their willingness to finally cross the line.
Thank you.
And multiple individuals were willing to do it. And I think it comes as a result of never having been held accountable as their professional career, occurred, and as they moved up into prominence. And the media, fawned all over most of these individuals because they were attacking the person everyone agreed they hated, and that was Donald Trump.
I read through these 302s, man. Adam Schiff as CIA director. Holy moly.
Jesus Christ.
We don't thank Donald Trump enough. We don't. We're not appreciative enough. And I have plenty of appreciation for the man, but I'm looking through this, I'm reading, I'm going, wait a second.
Yeah, fuck Adam Schiff. I honestly don't believe anything.
July is White History Month.
Yeah, did you know that?
I did not know that.
All right, happy White History Month.
Nothing will ever happen to him or anybody that Obama gave a pardon to. Just because, not Obama, Biden gave a pardon to. Even if the auto pen becomes null and void, do you think they're really going to take all that time and effort to charge and convict these guys? I don't. All right, let's go to the age-old question. Can a black person be racist? Do you think a black person will celebrate White History Month? It's been a thing. It's a thing for the past 8 years. Let's talk to the founder of the White History Month movement.
What now? She doesn't like happening.
There's no such thing as white America.
She doesn't.
White Americans feel
Amazing. everybody. Welcome to White History Month. July is White History Month. I'm Jesse Lee Peterson on Hollywood Boulevard, and we're celebrating our 8th annual year of White History Month. July just feel white, amazing. And so we started White History Month because we cannot forget. We got to remember the white men who founded and created the greatest country on this side of heaven. So we're up here to talk to the folks and see how they celebrated White History Month. So we're gonna get moving. Happy White History Month.
Oh, they're in California.
July just feels white. Amazing. White History Month. I will, thank you. Happy White History Month.
And it's some dark hillbilly looking first-hounded motherfucker.
They don't want this country to be great. They want a socialist society. It's unfortunate. Isn't that amazing?
Happy White History Month. Did you know that July is White History Month?
I was not aware of it.
Really? Yeah. This is our 8th year celebrating White History Month.